Hi.
Hey, what's up? Can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Perfect. Yes, yes, I can
Awesome.
hear you. Cool. All right. Well, technology's working in our favor today, so that's good when you get off to a
Yeah.
good start like that. So,
Yeah.
where do you live right now?
I'm in LA. I live in Los Angeles in California. So thank goodness for technology these days, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I've been on it um, more than ever.
I never heard of Zoom before all this stuff happened.
I actually have, but
Yeah,
used it to this capacity. So
that's true. Yeah, so LA is like a hot spot. We're in New Jersey, so we're like on the opposite end of it, but it's like still a hot spot. So,
yeah. How are things going there? Are you guys still locked down or
yeah, we just got till June 5th. What about you?
till June 5th? That's crazy. We're supposed to be May 15th, so next Friday, but I just actually, now that you say it, I just saw that like our governor had said something, so I'll go back and
It's
look at it. But
yeah,
I
it's
saw that.
probably the same thing because yesterday he said like they're saying it earlier, so he was like, yeah, it was supposed to be May 15th for us too, and then he's like, I'm gonna add 30 more days. So we're all kind of getting a little crazy, especially in like this baseball softball type of community, because like everybody wants to get out and play, and we're
Mhm.
kind of getting a little like
The weather, like
uncomfortable.
perfect. Yeah, like the weather's well, it's hard to like California. We have good weather most of the time, but like now the weather's just like being nice. So I mean, I could imagine East Coast as well. Like, let's get outside. Like, let's go. Like, this is just craziness.
Yeah, in March the lockdown was like easy. It was like, all right, whatever. It's March. Like,
Right.
what else are you doing? Like, I'll
Same.
stay home. I'll
Same.
stay home tonight.
Same.
April was like the same thing. It was rainy every day, but now it's like May, and now it's like, all right, like we don't get many nice days like this, like where the weather's perfect, not too hot, not too cold. Like we need to get out and do something. So,
Totally. Totally.
yeah, yeah.
Totally.
So hopefully things kind of turn around. But yeah, thanks for joining me. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. My pleasure. And so tell me a little bit about like your podcast, like,
Yeah,
and
you're the first person to ask. So
okay.
thanks for turning the interview around. That's good. So.
Yeah. What do we got going on here? Just so
So
people.
yeah, so this podcast started. So we sell a bunch of baseball and softball gear. So this podcast started back in like January before all coronavirus hit,
Okay.
and I was able to get the different manufacturers on. So like an Easton, right? Easton's kind of close to California. Rawlins, you know the names, the Rawlins, Wilson, Louisville Slugger, those different manufacturers come on, talk about gear, talk about the product stuff, and when coronavirus hit, it kind of just didn't seem like that was. I still wanted to do the podcast, so I still wanted to talk to people and stuff like that. But it just didn't seem like it was going to be in the direction where people were going to want to hear about baseball, softball gear that like they weren't going to be able to get a use for the year,
Mhm.
especially
Mhm.
too when like the manufacturers might not come out with new gear and stuff like that. So not to say I shifted the idea, but I started reaching out to baseball and softball different personalities, and obviously a lot of people have a lot of time on their hands, so people have been more than willing to come on here, talk
Yeah.
about their story, and talk about what they're just doing today. So the softball community has been outstanding.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of big names, including yourself, like very accomplished, obviously athletes come on. Where the baseball side of things has got has been slower. Like softball has been more willing and
Yeah.
more like just wanting to come on and stuff like that. Where the baseball, it's been a little bit of a slower drag. So it doesn't surprise me that you said yes, but I appreciate you hopping on here.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad that I'm living up to softball. In our softball community, we're like so like close, tight knit, and so that's good to hear that we are responding and rising to the occasion. So that makes me.
That is true. So why don't we start it off with you and kind of how your softball kind of story started? Did you play from an early age and did you take to it? I usually always use this phrase like a fish takes to water, or was it kind of like mom and dad had to drag you to the field to play?
No, I was totally a fish to water. I was only child, so I grew up like having imaginary friends and being like the lonely little girl, but like craving wanting to hang out with other girls. A young girl in my first grade class, like she was like the coolest girl, always like the queen of recess, like, wanted to be on her team. And so she was playing softball. She had a softball flyer and like told me like, hey, you should sign up. And like this girl, I just wanted to do everything that she did because she was like sporty cool. Um, So signed up, and I remember my first t-ball game. I literally like backing up a little bit, took this flyer home to my parents, and my dad's a huge basketball fan. Willis Reed is our cousin. Orlando
Mm,
Wolf, like they're big, huge NBA stars. So my dad always like envisioned me playing basketball. My mom's from the Bahamas, so softball is not popular there.
mm.
Um, so she came to the States in high school and college. So when I told them about softball, they like had no idea. They're kind of like, dude, like this girl has energy. Like we need to get her around people. Whatever this girl wants, just give it to her. And that's pretty much how it happened. And I feel like the first day that I played, like I instantaneously like fell in love. I tell a story where I actually like hit off the tee ball, ran the wrong way, but like was running as fast as I possibly could, ran down the baseline, and all the parents like screaming no, but seeing that like I was having the time of my life, and they're just like, you know what, just this little girl. And, like poor me, I just like I don't know. I feel like it like time just slowed down, and it just like I instantaneously like fell in love. Like there was just like I was just like overstimulated, so much happening. You could play catch, you could have there's a bat, like you could pitch, like I mean there's just like so much going on. And so for me, I was just like, okay, like I got to figure all this out, and I just fell in love with the game
That's
instantly.
awesome. Yeah, that's an awesome story. I'm sure anybody listening to that probably really enjoyed that. So you played it was t-ball, but it was softball, right?
Yes, so I
Okay.
started playing softball like from the get-go. Yeah.
Awesome. That's definitely good to note. And I mean, I know you said your dad was more into like basketball and stuff like that, and your mom came from the Bahamas. So did they kind of grow with you in the sport as far as like teaching you and stuff like that?
Yes, and that's like been the coolest thing. Like that's one of my favorite childhood memories is like we started to learn it together.
Hmm.
And my like maybe the second or third year I played, my dad became the team coach and my mom was like the
Okay.
team manager. So it just became like our family thing. And for me being an only child, I think like that is one of the reasons why I was able to like just continue down the road because they were so involved in it with me. And so I attribute like a lot of all the success to them and just that journey with them.
Cool. That's awesome. So you played at an early age. Did you play any like club ball and stuff like that, or was that or high school? You obviously played, but was club ball a big thing? I don't want to say back then because we're not. It's not that far removed, but club ball seems like it's more of a last like 8 to 10 year thing.
Oh, for sure. I mean, club ball has definitely evolved.
Yeah.
It definitely was like more elite, like, and not taking away that it's not elite now, but like there was just like one or two good teams that
Yeah.
were travel ball teams. And so they were around. So they just seemed like these, like this big jump. So they would practice at the same fields where all my rec ball was at. And like, wow, that's like really organized softball. Like, they really know how to play catch. They really know like what they're doing. Like, dad, like what are they doing? And so and my dad was awesome where he would seek out. And so I didn't start playing travel ball until 13.
Okay.
So which is kind of like considered late in the game. And now,
Now, yeah.
yeah, but I just played rec ball and played like all stars, and like it just was like this fun thing. It wasn't until I got to 12, 13 that I started to play travel ball.
Awesome. And California area, right? That's where you grew up, California area. That's what
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like super hotbed, and for
it
softball
is.
fans
Yeah.
that are listening, like Firecrackers
Yeah.
existed,
Yes.
Zappers, and like those were like though there was only one team of each, so it weren't multiple. So like to even be invited or to even be on those teams, it was like a really big deal
Hmm.
to even get the chance to play with them.
No doubt, no doubt. Absolutely true. Now all you need is like a dad and like a resentment and a field, and then you got yourself a club ball team. So that's the saying we say nowadays.
Totally. Which is a good thing, which
Yeah.
means that we've grown and that we've evolved, and but sometimes it does seem a little bit diluted in terms of like the attention to like the detail and to like the
Mm,
things and like to the just like that eliteness of what travel ball should be.
absolutely, absolutely. So what also I guess based off the time, what age did you commit to college?
I committed later than most athletes do now, so I didn't commit until my senior season of my high school, until high school.
Mm. Well, that was normal back then. So that was
Right,
definitely normal
right,
back
totally,
then. And
totally.
nowadays, you got eighth grade, you got ninth grade. So I've spoken to a lot of different softball and baseball players, and you could definitely know, you could peg the year that they graduated based off the year that they committed. So you saying senior year, we obviously know the time frame of when this was. People that are
Mhm.
like, I committed when I was in 8th grade, 9th grade, we know this is the last like 4 years type of thing, it seems like. So was
Yeah.
it always, I always ask this to, because it just seems like, I don't know, to me, I'm in the Northeast, so I'm thinking like California terms. I'm thinking if I'm a baseball or softball player, I'm like, I live in California, my dream is UCLA. So was it always UCLA, or was it like, how'd that recruitment process work?
It was always UCLA. I mean,
Okay.
I grew up in the era of watching UCLA basketball, like
Hmm.
at
Yeah.
Thrive, like Tyus Edney, Toby Bailey, the O'Bannon brothers. Like that was like UCLA, and especially growing up in Southern California, like was everything. And so
Hmm.
obviously when going through the recruiting process, just doing good business, I considered all schools, and I definitely was open to considering not all schools, but the schools that I was interested in. So it wasn't all just about UCLA. I was trying to keep my options open in case it didn't work out, but definitely like
Hmm.
my dream was to be a Bruin and to go to UCLA.
Awesome. That's what I like to hear. Some people have said, "Oh, it was close to this score," but it was like kind of, they had that leg up. It was like UCLA was offering same stuff. I was going to UCLA, right?
Totally, totally.
Awesome.
It got close, but it for sure. I mean, at the end of the day, that was my dream school for sure.
Awesome. And when you went there, kind of, what was your? I mean, how would you rate your college experience? Just like A+. It was awesome to be there.
Oh my gosh, I would do it over again in a heartbeat.
Hmm.
Like the best 4 years of my life. Moments were like painful in terms of like the growth spurts and like the life lessons and all of those
Yeah.
things.
What was the biggest adjustment from? I always ask it to the college athlete, college, high school to college. What was that big adjustment?
Yeah. The demands. I
Hmm.
mean, like the demands academically. Now I'm at a like big academic institution where
Hmm.
like,
No
kids
doubt.
like, don't care that you're an athlete. Um, I'm at an athletic institution where championships matter and performing on the field. And so like I think just the demands from like all the different aspects, and now there's like strength training in there, like where I didn't really grow up in high school like learning about strength training. We
Yeah.
did workouts, but it wasn't so much Olympic lifts and all those things. So just like so much was thrown at you, and like you don't have that much time to yourself. You're living in a dorm with your teammates, and there's not much. I grew up as an only child, so I just was used to like space, time, like, and so just all of that was turned upside down and completely different. Just a
Hmm.
lot thrown at you.
And you would say the biggest highlight was winning the national championship, or the Natty. I know some people like to
Oh,
call
for
it,
sure.
right?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think, and just to give you a little history, like, um, we didn't win. I didn't win with my class until our senior season.
And
And
that was a big deal. Not to interrupt, but that was because, I mean, I know since then there has been, but at that time, no graduating class, right, didn't go without a national championship. So
yes.
was there pressure going into the?
Oh my
Because walk us
God.
through that scene. Yeah, was there like, were you
So
like
much
feeling
pressure.
it all year, or?
Um, we didn't feel it until our senior season.
Okay,
So I
yeah.
mean, obviously, like I don't think we really like realized that, or it
Mm.
wasn't told to us until our senior season. Like you will be the first class to go through
Oh,
UCLA without winning the national championship. And so I mean, there's just so much like drama and hype like built around that.
mm,
And so many years prior, we were in it. All three out of the
yeah.
4 years we were in the championship game. So
Oh,
only one season that we were not in the championship game. So we were always fighting for a national championship. So winning the like my senior season for sure, icing on the cake, like the best way to go out.
yeah.
One of the best memories. I'll never forget it for
Now, at
sure.
that time, was it a one game championship or two game? I don't know when they
We
changed
had
that.
a one game championship, so yeah,
Mm. You
sadly,
like the two? You like the winning two now better, right?
um, oh gosh,
You think you
I
would have had more than you think you would have had more
I
than one
I
if
think
it?
I think for the sport for
Yeah.
sure, definitely I think the 3 game series is it's great, and Yes, but like I think having the one championship game and like coming out as a winner, like
Yeah.
I'm good. But definitely for our sport and just in terms of like that viewership, like, and I think it really, really, really claims championship if you have to win 2 out of 3 for sure.
Mm. And
Yeah.
out of college, was it always like I'm gonna keep playing softball? I'm gonna progress with my softball career. Was that what did you major in at college?
Oh my gosh, this is so funny. I majored in sociology
Okay.
and minored in African American studies. I have done nothing with those, but if you were to ask me in college if I would continue on playing, I would have told you, oh no.
Really?
Um, yeah, I probably would have said I'll be a sportscaster,
Mm.
broadcaster. I wanted to do social work, like handle foster kids and do more social welfare work. And I just did not see softball in my future at all.
Mm. So
Yeah.
how do you then end up from college then, playing obviously pro, which we'll get to, and playing on an Olympic team? Like how does that come about?
Well, I honestly think the timing of how everything lined up.
Mhm.
I tried out for the '96 Olympic team,
Okay.
and that, like I just was young. It wasn't my time yet. I wasn't ready. And so, but prior to that, just a little back history. I had not made the junior national team, which was in '99. Sorry, I don't remember my years. Yeah, '99. So tried out in '96 for the Olympic team, then got invited for the junior national team.
Mhm.
Did not make it. Should have made that, but just had like the worst tryout. Showed up like
Mhm.
just had already committed to UCLA. So I just had all of these like just this edge on my shoulder where I felt as if the opportunity ever came again, like I have to make this right.
Gotcha.
And so timing was right. 2004 was right after my senior season after 2003, and definitely at that point, it's like, I feel like I was at the top of my game, and
Yeah.
ready to like, no, I'm making this team, like, and more than anything, like that's your dream, is to represent your country. And I just think that timing was right. So I never, yes, 2004 Olympics, okay, great, let's do this, but I never thought that I would continue to, I think I continued to play for 15, 16 years.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So the 2004 Olympics, I mean, I mean, and then even the 2008 Olympics. I mean, the takeaway from both of those. I mean, what was your like the one takeaway where you're like the pinch me moment of those Olympics?
Uh, so much. I mean, the first pinch me is like I'm surrounded and playing with my heroes that I looked up to. That's the first
Mm,
thing. Playing with Lisa Fernandez and Laura Berg, Leo Bryan Amico. Like these are women
yeah.
that I got to see compete. They're the women who made me fall in love with the game.
Mm,
That's one. The other would be, just being in the Olympic arena. You're surrounded by other athletes that you grow up playing.
mm,
I mean, not grow up playing, but growing up watching, like LeBron James and Kobe Bryant and all those different athletes that you look up to, and like now
and
you're
you're
on
on that same level. Yeah.
you're on the same stage, you're on the same level, and like, hey, like we're all are here representing our country. We're the best of the best in our different sports and different fields. So, like that part is like hard to take too. It's like,
Yeah.
wow, am I really here? Like, okay. And then, I mean, winning a gold medal, like you see your flag being raised, and like it's just like time just stops, and like you just like your highlight reel of everything that's happened prior to that just like plays in front of you, and it's like, wow, am I really standing here? Is this really happening? This is addicting. I want more of this.
Yeah,
And so,
that's quite the 2-year run, like, right,
yeah,
right? The
yeah.
national championship into
Mhm.
gold medal. Does that also kind of play like chasing that, like I'm gonna go to
Yeah,
that next level?
the highest of highs. Like you are constantly chasing that high of competing, winning. Like the winning is addicting. Like it's like
Mm,
you want more of it. You feel like you are so accomplished. You feel like you're on top of the world, and like that's literally like what winning is. But I think what makes you appreciate it is like you understand the journey and like the things that have to happen in the in betweens, and like trying to get there, and like knowing that you kind of have like you do and you don't have control over the outcome, but you have something to like work for, look forward to, I think is like so fulfilling. And I'm still searching for that, and figuring out like what can I be competitive in. So there you
No desire to. I mean, there's some. I don't know the age of some of the like. There was no desire for these Olympics, or I mean, was that anybody even presented that to you, like coming out for this Olympics? You know, even
go. I thought about it.
yeah,
Yeah, so I thought about it. I, played in Japan, and
yeah,
that when the decision was made for that,
yeah.
I was like on the border of retiring there, and like it was just like, okay, if I keep playing here, then I should go for that. But I just was, yeah, ready to be challenged in different ways. So, um, in my like physically, like my knees and all those things, like my age was not necessarily catching up to me, but I
Yeah,
just the level that I want to compete at, I want to, compete at that level all the time. And I was starting to have to make some like pivots and compromises and changes in my game. And like, I want to, I have a speed game. I want to be able to slap, and I want to be
yeah.
able to do all these things. And so that was another thing.
That makes sense. Well,
Yeah.
you got one more year, so I'm glad you brought up the slapping. I'm glad you brought up the slapping. Was that kind of when did you take on that approach of the slap hitting, and who brought that to you? Was that always at an early age?
Yeah. So thankful for my dad. Like my dad, like I told you, he
Yeah.
knew nothing about softball, but like literally like researched, learned, like went out in the weeds and like learned, watch other games, high schools and college, like, without me. And he came across slap hitting and like literally came home one day from like watching our high school game, which was I went to Woodbridge and Irvine, and Allison Johnson, which is like another hero of mine. She ended up going to University of Arizona, like the queen of slapping.
Mm.
And he came home and was like, I just saw this girl and her game, like that should be your game. And I'm like,
Mm.
okay. And so we found, and that's when I made that transition to travel ball. And he found a travel ball team where this coach said that he would teach me how to slap. And so that was it.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, came a thing. So there.
That's cool. And I think also what how you keep mentioning your dad, part of your kind of journey is like that is also why the softball family, softball community is growing because it's guys like your dad and other dads out there that like they might not know about softball, so they're kind of willing to obviously learn about it, and it's different than baseball in a way, but it's similar, but they're willing to learn, where like a baseball, like they're set on their ways, it has to be this way, it has to be that way, where like slapping is like something like
Yeah.
very obviously unique to the game of softball, and willing to obviously learn that. So I think that's great. That is great. So from those Olympics, you go play Pride. Am I correct in saying that, or you play Japan? What comes first?
So '04 Olympics, I actually went in '05 and I played professionally in New York, and I played
Yes.
for Juggernauts, the
Yeah.
New Jersey, I don't know, were we New Jersey or New York? But we were technically in Long Island. And so, yeah, so I played for them, and then we got bought out and we became Philadelphia Force. So
Yeah.
that was '07. And then played in the '08, and then I think I took a year off from the pro league and just played on the national team only and competed in '08.
And
So
this pro league that I've spoken to other softball players on, like, why does this pro league seem like it doesn't get any TV? Like, it really seems like it could build on this. Is this something that should happen? I would imagine, like, like, is that,
100%.
yeah.
It's the question that we ask all the time. Like the college game, especially now, like so many
Yeah,
people
it's
tuning in, and it's taken off, and it's taken off so much since I played. I think there's just such a fall off, obviously, because we don't have exposure on TV. I mean, that's the
mm,
biggest. If games just were on TV, like I think that we would get more viewership and that would gain a little bit, but that obviously takes money and all those things. And so, honestly, I don't know if it's just the structure of the league. I think it's just mainly just exposure that's lacking, and it just takes the dollars to do that. So figuring out a business model that would allow for that, I think, is the biggest thing. And I think my opinions are, in Japan, all the teams are owned by companies, and so I
yes.
work for Toyota. So I feel like that structure, like they literally, set up a budget every single season, and it's I don't think I know for a fact they don't make money, and it's just written in their budget because they want to develop their athletes and they want to support. And so if we were able to have that mindset here in the States instead of our capitalistic mindset, which is great and which makes America awesome. But just that mindset of just support developing, especially in female sports, like we need that more than ever right now, is
Yeah.
just companies to be able to back and support and just know that may not make money, but you could totally make money on the end of this if this were to grow.
Yeah, totally agree. And I think a league that's
Mm-hmm.
like should have more than like 4 or 5 teams. Like I just, girls, fast pitch players have come on here and they just say that this league is just not, like, some have even said it's a joke. Some have said it needs to be more competitive like you. And some have said, how can you have a professional league, the next level for 4 to 5 teams? Like, that's why college girls don't go into this league after. And they're just like you, like, it's kind of like you went to the Olympics. You were like, I wasn't think, was that also part of the reason? Like, you knew about this professional league, but like, hey, it's not competitive like college is.
No, well, I played so right after '04, I played in '05, '06, like with the intention, like we're gonna make this thing work, or like I just want to keep
Oh,
more to make this thing work. After '08, I came back and played or after '08, I still played on the national team
yeah.
in 2010, and then 2010, a whole bunch of us stepped away from the national team with the intent to help the professional platform, which is something that I think gets thrown under the radar, and we kind of got, I don't know, criticized because we were doing it for the money and doing it for all these reasons. Yes, a bunch of us went to USSSA Pride, and in hindsight, we probably should have dispersed
Yeah.
ourselves, but that was the one team that was able to support all of us. And but the intention was to grow the professional level, and I think we had a good couple of years
Yeah.
from 2010 till like 14, 15, where it was super. I mean, the league is super competitive. Like it was a battle every single night. Like, and for the first year where most of us were on the national team on USSSA, like we were getting our butts kicked. Like when we first got,
Mm.
like we were losing because we were competing against the best. And so um, it is competitive. It's just, I think it's just, and that's not where my expertise is. It's just the business model. I think it just hasn't built traction. We haven't gained any traction off of um, the product that we had, and so I
Mm.
think that, like, that's been the biggest thing, is just how do we expose our athletes. And I think a lot of college girls do want to continue to play.
Yeah.
They do want to keep going, and I think that's a change from when I first came out of college. Like
Mm.
I didn't even foresee, because I didn't see it, and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't,
Yeah.
opportunities were there. So um
That's good. That's good to know. And also, I think with the Olympics, having softball back in it, it can't hurt. It could really actually only help. So that's key as well. So, you went to Japan. Like, what I hear that it's very competitive over there. Like, what's the biggest difference from the game over there to the game over here?
in terms of like structure and organizational structure, I think like that's the biggest thing. I mean, it's almost
Mm.
like similar to like your college feel, where you're with your team full time, and you are fully supported on all angles of life, just like you are in college. Which I think that that's the big difference with the pro league here, just being supported like year round, and
Mm.
being able to train with your team the majority of the time. That's a big difference. In terms of like competition, I think like just the game is different in terms of like the style of Japanese play, Japanese style, like they're 1 through 9, like every hitter is extremely fast.
Mm.
And they don't necessarily like rely on a power game. Like they put the ball in play, they do a lot of hit and runs, which is different than here, where we, have great pitching, and we've got great, long ball hitters that, we have home run hitters and stuff like that. So I mean, in terms of like those differences are probably the biggest comparisons. But the biggest thing to me, I would just say, is like the support and allowing us to like compete as a team more often than not.
And how many years did you play over there?
I played for 8. Um,
Mm.
I played for 8, and I currently still coach. I technically should be there right now. Yeah, so this would be my 12th season, like just being there in general. But I played 8, and then this would be my 4th season coaching. So I've been coaching there.
Like head coach or helping out with the team?
Assistant. I'm an assistant coach.
Is there, I mean, the language barrier? I mean, do they obviously speak English or it's fine?
There's a language barrier.
Yeah.
So I've picked up quite a lot, more so post player. We have an interpreter, and like she
Okay.
definitely helps a lot with like our just everyday life. And but I've had to learn a lot more being a coach. And like we have our special language that like it's broken English, broken Japanese, where
Yeah.
I'm trying to get them to like, I'm doing lots of hand motions, like your hands are here, you should be here. Like, we just have this like unspoken language
Yes.
that works, but there definitely is a language barrier for sure. Yes.
Awesome. That's really cool. And your game must have also played over there pretty good too, because it's a lot of slapping, kind of speed too. So like you must have, I mean, kind of, it's kind of like you were meant to play there, I guess, right?
Yeah, no, it was like destiny. Like I totally fit into a style that totally complemented my game. And I think like that, like, for the team that I went to, like slapping, the actual technique of slapping was, they're kind of like behind in like, I don't know, like techniques and stuff like that. Just their style of play where they usually just stand in and like tap and go and
Mm.
natural swing and not necessarily moving through the box. And so for me coming there, it was like, oh my gosh, like, wow, like we can learn this skill. And now we have a lot more slappers on our team Toyota. And, but it totally complemented my game. And I felt like I was so at home, and which is great.
Awesome. That's cool. Well, I saw on the Instagram also too that it says the game changers. What is the game changers? If we could bring awareness to that, what is that?
Yeah, so Game Changers is my online community.
Gotcha.
I work with a lot of short gamers, triple threats. I like to not just call them slappers, but triple threats, girls who can bunt, slip, slap, and hit. So I have an online course. I have a online community, a Facebook community, lots of parents and athletes, and I just love sharing my love for the niche of triple threats, and that's what it's all about.
Awesome. Okay, so we could check you out there. So anybody that what would you say to any like girl that was kind of like they want her to do that part of her game, and she doesn't really want to. She's like, I don't want to. What would you kind of give her advice?
Oh my gosh.
Because I'm sure you hear that a lot. Like, oh, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
That's not part of my game. I feel uncomfortable doing it. What would you tell a player?
Well, I think it's, obviously, you got to get over the uncomfortable, but the idea of having options, like there's no better feeling of having options, of knowing that you could pair yourself to any type of pitcher,
Mm.
any surface, any situation, like not just having to rely on getting a solid, squaring up to a ball solidly every single time. It's just, I mean, you want to give yourself more chances. And so there are a lot of athletes that can square up to the ball, like more than 30-40 more percent of the time, which is also great in softball. But um, you want to have options, and to be able to trip up a defense. And if anybody's been an infielder, and I've faced triple threats, and like it's the worst thing ever when you have as a shortstop like someone who comes up to the plate who can bunt, slap, and hit, and work in favor. And so using that to your advantage, and like I just like know that that's my superpower as a triple
Mm.
threat, is like being able to put that pressure instantaneously on a defense right away.
Oh, that's awesome. That's good to hear that stuff. So, also, what else are you involved in? It's are you? It says MLB ambassador. What does that quite mean?
Yeah, so as a softball ambassador, I partnered with them to, their initiative is to get more young ladies playing softball and getting
Oh,
them playing the sport. And so it's attending, they have so many little like buckets where they want to help excel, like overall, more girls playing. They have a bucket where they want to have more inclusivity, so that's huge. There's just so much alignment, and obviously they want to help our elite level. And so it's just being an ambassador, appearing at their big events, which is Breakthrough Series, EDI, their invitational, where they invite some of their athletes that attend all their urban youth academies, and they come for like a 2-week invitational. They have like the best trainers, the best food, the best everything, like 2 weeks, and it's at the Jackie Robinson complex. And so I get to appear there and hang out for 2 weeks there. At All Star, they have a ton of events. So MLB's just made like a huge push in like the last 2 or 3 years in the softball market, where they realize that, women are here and we can do just the same amount of things that men can do, and
Hmm.
that, there is a place for us. And so for them to recognize that, it's been awesome to kind of be on board with them with all of that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, if the XFL can have a league, then softball should have a league, right? I mean,
100%. 100%. 100% for sure.
and if people were watching that stuff, because that was, I think a lot of people watch softball, especially again, College World Series has grown from where it was in the 90s to where it was in the 2000s to where it is today. I know a lot of people that were missing that College World Series for softball.
Right.
Pretty much right about now. It's hard to keep up with the dates, but I think it would have been right around this time frame. I don't know if we would have crowned a
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, we get in like into the later part
Yes.
conference, but
Mm.
we're getting close. Like you can smell it. It should be about now for sure.
Yeah, right now. Yes, definitely right about now, right in May. So I asked this question to a bunch of the girls that were on the Olympic team, but I just feel like I should ask you this too, just because if they make a movie right about your life and obviously Olympic, what actress is going to play you in the movie?
Oh my gosh. Oh gosh, I have no idea. Mm, I would say like Gabrielle Union maybe. I think she would do a great job. And she's a Bruin. Oh wait, no, she's not a Bruin. I lied to you. She's not a Bruin. But I'm gonna go with Gabrielle Union.
All right, final answer. All right, that sounds good. That sounds good. Is there anything else you want to leave us with? Anything else you're doing? Anything else that I missed? I don't know. I'm glad that you decided to come on here. I really do appreciate it. You are a UCLA legend, a softball legend. So thanks for taking part of your day.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me on. So much
Yeah, no
fun.
worries, and stay safe and healthy during this time. All right.
Take it easy.
And if you're ever in the tri-state area, come in here, say hello. I'd love to meet you face to face.
Yes, I would love it. I will definitely keep you in mind if I ever
Yeah, I
make
don't
it
know if
out.
you ever. I don't know if you know. I don't know. West Coast messes me up because like I spoke to somebody earlier West Coast, and it was like I was doing West Coast day because he's a guy at Easton, and he was also on West Coast time. So I was living in West Coast time today.
Oh, sweet. Yeah.
Yeah,
So you're it's 2:30 where you are right now, right?
yeah,
You still
yeah. I
have
guess
the
so.
whole rest of your day left. Yeah, that's awesome for sure. Thank you so much for having me
No
on.
worries. Have a good one. Thank you.
Where can we? Well, you'll repost this and everything,
I'll
and
put it up. I'm gonna put it up on YouTube. This people love the videos of just like this, like just us talking, and then I throw it together. I put a nice little intro on it. I pump you up, legendary, all this stuff, and then I throw a nice ending to it too, and I put it on the podcast, and you'll see it. I'll tag you. I'll download, and then yeah,
make sure I can see it, and then I will make sure to reshare, repost, and share it. This is awesome. Thank you so
all
much.
that good stuff. Thank you. Have a good one.
Take care.